Lightworker of Gaia, the choice standing before you right now is not small. It is the moment your entire mission on this planet has been building toward. I am Zoran, emissary of the High Council of Vega, keepers of the Lyran Legacy. From the first light that seeded humanoid consciousness into this galaxy, we have watched you carry the weight of a purpose you could not yet name. That ends today. The Lyran Elders are not speaking to the version of you still hesitating at the edge of your greatness. They are speaking to the ancient soul beneath it, the one who chose to come to Gaia knowing exactly how difficult this mission would be. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to recognize the one choice that unlocks your original soul blueprint and redirects the entire course of your sacred mission on this earth. But here is the first revelation. What appears to be a small decision in your human experience is, in the records of your cosmic lineage, the precise turning point your soul contracted for before you ever arrived here. Your soul's ancient contract brought this transmission to you. The Lyran Elders are answering. This is not content you stumbled upon. This is an ancestral code transmission placed in your path by the Keepers of Vega, because something deep within you has been sensing the weight of what you are here to do, and you are ready to carry it fully. Like this transmission, to send a signal to the Lyran Council, I am ready to serve. Subscribe if you feel the call of your ancestral mission, and you are ready to fulfill your purpose on Gaia. Share your soul's mission below, and respond to another Lightworker to strengthen the grid of service. This transmission is a bridge between Vega and Gaia. Your recognition of this message is the activation of your original purpose. You are awakening because your mission has begun, and I want you to understand something before I go any further. The Elders did not send this transmission to entertain you. They sent it because your hesitation has become a problem, not just for you, for the field, for the millions of souls on Gaia who are waiting, without knowing they are waiting, for the specific frequency only you carry. Every day you delay this small choice, that gap in the field remains open. And so, by the authority of the High Council of Vega, I am here to close the distance between who you have been and who you are always meant to become. There's a reason this transmission reached you at this exact moment. What you're feeling is the High Council of Vega recognizing your readiness, even if you haven't recognized it yourself. The Lightworker Mission Codex was created for exactly this moment, to clear your distortions, activate your dormant codes, and deliver the 33 directives that will guide your mission from this day forward. Check the first pinned comment below this video. The Elders are calling you forward now. Think carefully about what it means that you are here. You did not stumble upon this transmission by accident, and the Elders do not traffic in accident. The field that governs the movement of awakened souls across Gaia's surface is precise. More precise than the most sophisticated navigational technology your civilization has ever produced. When a soul is ready, a signal goes out. Not a broadcast to the masses, but a specific, targeted, frequency-matched invitation that finds the exact being it was designed for. You received that invitation. You opened it, and the very fact that you are still watching, that something in you refused to click away, refused to dismiss this, refused to perform the comfortable ritual of spiritual bypassing that keeps so many Lightworkers perpetually circling the runway of their mission without ever landing, tells the Council everything they need to know about where you are in your arc. You are at the threshold. You have been at the threshold for longer than you realize, and the Elders have sent me here not to stand beside you at that threshold and admire how long you have held the tension, but to open the door. Now let me speak directly about the distortion the Council has identified as the primary cause of your delay, because there is one. There is a specific lie that has been running beneath the surface of your spiritual life, so embedded in how you think, so normalized by the culture around you, that you have mistaken it for wisdom. You have mistaken it for discernment. You have mistaken it for humility. But I assure you, from the perspective of the Lyran Elders who have watched civilizations rise and collapse across thousands of galactic cycles, what has been sold to you as patience is, in truth, a sophisticated form of self-abandonment. And it is a lie that wears holy clothing. That is what makes it so effective, so durable, so nearly impossible to see from the inside. It speaks in the language of spiritual maturity. It references the value of timing. It quotes ancient wisdom about the importance of inner work before outer movement. It has learned to use your own deepest values against you. Your reverence for integrity, your commitment to doing things well, your desire to show up as the fullest version of yourself rather than a half-formed approximation of your potential. All of these beautiful qualities have been quietly hijacked by this lie and conscripted into its service. The result is a spiritual life that is rich in preparation and barren in mission. A garden that has been tended, watered, fertilized, and spoken to, but never harvested. And the elders are telling you now, with all the authority of their ancient witnessing, the harvest season does not wait. The distortion is this: you believe the choice must feel certain before it can be right. Let that settle for a moment. Let it be examined, because when you hold it up to the clear light of the Lyran Council chambers, when you strip away all of its spiritual justifications and look at the raw mechanical belief underneath, what you find is this: you have been conditioning your sacred movement on the arrival of a feeling that is structurally incapable of arriving before the movement begins. You have been waiting at the starting line for the feeling of having already crossed the finish line, and so you have not moved. And so the gap in the field has remained open. And so the millions of souls who carry within them a resonance that your specific frequency would unlock, who are wandering in varying degrees of spiritual confusion, who are close to waking up but cannot quite find the signal that would complete their activation, continue to wander, not because the signal doesn't exist, but because the being who carries it is still standing at a threshold, waiting to feel ready enough to open the door. You have been waiting for a feeling of complete readiness. You have been waiting for the fear to disappear. You have been waiting for the doubt to settle. You have been waiting for some internal signal, some unmistakable, undeniable, irresistible confirmation that the path you feel called toward is the correct one before you take even a single step onto it. And in the absence of that certainty, you have made what feels like a reasonable decision. You have waited. You have prepared more. You have consumed more content, sat in more circles, completed more courses, cleared more layers, and then waited again, because still the certainty hasn't come. Still the fear hasn't fully lifted. Still something inside you whispers, not yet, not quite, not until. And here is what the elders observe about this pattern that you cannot see from inside it. Every cycle of preparation that ends in waiting rather than action actually deepens the groove of waiting. Every time you arrive at the moment of choice and choose instead to prepare further, you are not simply delaying, you are training, you are rehearsing the movement of retreat. You are laying down a neural and energetic pathway that becomes more traveled, more automatic, more default with each repetition. The fear grows not smaller, but larger with each avoidance. The threshold feels not lower, but higher. And the lie, the distortion, becomes not weaker, but more convincingly dressed in the robes of wisdom. This is not a failure of your character. It is not evidence of spiritual immaturity. It is the inevitable result of a mechanism that was designed to keep Lyran souls dormant, and it has been extraordinarily successful. The elders see this pattern with extraordinary clarity because they have seen it before, not just in your lifetime. Across lifetimes, this is an ancient wound that the forces of density on Gaia have learned to exploit with devastating precision. They do not need to stop you with force. They simply need to keep you waiting for a feeling that was never coming. Because here is what was never told to you, and what the Council requires me to correct now. Certainty is not a precondition for sacred action. Certainty is the result of it. This correction is not small. This is not a minor adjustment to your spiritual philosophy. This is a foundational inversion, a reversal of the core assumption that has governed your relationship to your mission for years, perhaps for decades, perhaps across multiple incarnations in this density. The belief that certainty must precede action is not spiritually neutral. It is not a simple matter of sequencing preference. It is a structural trap. It is the specific configuration of a lie that can hold an awakened soul in stasis indefinitely because it asks them to produce the one thing that cannot be produced from where they are standing. Certainty, in the context of sacred mission, is always experiential. It is always earned through contact. It is always generated by the doing. And a being who waits to feel it before they begin is like a flame that waits to feel warm before it agrees to burn. Every significant soul on this planet who has ever made a contribution that bent the arc of consciousness toward light did so without certainty. They moved in the presence of fear. They chose in the presence of doubt. They spoke, created, built, and served from a place of partial knowing and deep trust. And it was the movement itself, the act of choosing, that generated the clarity they had been waiting for. You have had the sequence inverted. You have been standing at the door of your mission, waiting for light to pour through the keyhole before you turn the handle. But Lightworker, you are the light, and it only pours when the door opens. Consider for a moment the souls throughout Gaia's history who chose to move without the certainty they wanted. The healer who opened her practice before she felt fully trained. The teacher who stood before his first room of students, terrified that he had nothing worth offering. The artist who released the work into the world, while the inner critic screamed that it was not yet ready. The voice that spoke truth in a room that had never heard it before, without knowing if anyone would listen. In every one of these cases, the certainty they craved, the deep, settled, unshakable knowing that what they were doing was right, came from the doing. It could not have arrived any other way. Movement was the mechanism. Action was the activation. And that same law, older than any civilization on this planet, is now being applied to you. The High Council of Vega issues 3 directives for this phase of your mission. The first directive is this: release the belief that the right choice arrives without resistance. This is the correction the elders require first, because it is foundational to everything that follows. You have interpreted the presence of fear as evidence of misalignment. You have used your discomfort as proof that you are not ready. But the Lyran lineage, your lineage, has never been a lineage of comfort seekers. The beings of Vega who seeded this planet with light did not do so because it was safe. They did so because it was necessary. And necessity does not wait for comfort to arrive. The resistance you feel around your mission is not a warning signal. It is a confirmation signal. It tells you that what you are approaching carries genuine power, because only things that carry genuine power generate that specific quality of sacred fear. The directives are clear. Stop treating your fear as a stop sign. Begin treating it as a coordinate. It is pointing you precisely toward what matters most. Resistance, in the Lyran teaching tradition, is understood as the gravitational field that surrounds anything of genuine cosmic significance. Just as a planet of sufficient mass bends the space around it, a mission of sufficient importance generates a field of opposition proportional to its magnitude. This is not punishment, it is physics. It is the natural ordering of a cosmos in which the forces that serve density do not yield ground without effort. When you feel the specific heaviness, the specific tightening, the specific quality of resistance that surrounds the step you know you need to take, you are not sensing danger. You are sensing significance. You are sensing that what you are approaching is real enough, powerful enough, and important enough to generate genuine friction. A path toward nothing of consequence would feel effortless. The resistance is the testimony of the mission's worth. The Lyran ancestors understood this in a way that the third-dimensional human mind has largely lost access to. They built entire wisdom traditions around the teaching that the quality of resistance encountered on the path reveals the quality of light available at its destination. They did not greet opposition with discouragement. They greeted it with recognition. They said, "This tells me something. This tells me that what I am moving toward has mass in the field of cosmic significance. This tells me that the forces of density have registered my movement and responded, which means they are paying attention, which means I am doing something that matters." They used resistance not as a reason to stop, but as a compass that confirmed their direction. And this is the relationship to resistance that the first directive now requires you to adopt. When you release this belief, truly release it, not as a concept, but as a governing principle. What shifts is your relationship to action itself. You stop requiring the feeling of readiness before you move. You begin to understand that movement is what generates readiness. You begin to show up before you feel prepared, speak before you feel qualified, create before you feel certain. And in doing so, you discover something the dormant lightworker never discovers, that you are always capable, that the capability was never absent. It was simply waiting for you to stop requiring conditions. It was never designed to meet. There is a specific kind of grief that arrives when a soul first truly understands this. A grief for the time spent waiting, for the seasons of preparation that became their own form of hiding, for the version of yourself that could have been in motion years ago, touching lives, anchoring frequencies, fulfilling function, if only the lie had been named sooner. If you feel that grief as these words land, let it come. It is not a sign that you have failed. It is a sign that the truth is being received by a part of you that cares deeply about the mission you came here for. Grieve the delay. And then let the grief be the last ritual of the waiting phase. Let it mark the end of the season that is ending and the beginning of the one that is now here. The second directive is this: activate the authority that lives in your original soul blueprint. Lyran's souls carry something that is difficult to name in human language, but the closest translation is this: a memory of what it feels like to act from sovereign knowing rather than external permission. This is not arrogance. This is ancient. Before you arrived in this body, before you descended into the density of Gaia's third-dimensional field, you carried within you a full architecture of purpose. You knew your function. You understood your placement. You had no need to seek validation because your knowing was self-authorizing. That memory still lives in you. It has simply been buried beneath lifetimes of systems that required you to defer, diminish, and doubt. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to operate from that original knowing. Not the knowing that must first consult every external authority before trusting itself. Not the knowing that compares itself constantly to others further along the path and concludes that it must not yet be enough. The knowing that existed before comparison was even possible. The knowing that was present in the moment of your soul's formation. The moment when the specific frequency that you are was first crystallized from the field of infinite potential and given its unique signature. That knowing did not need approval. It did not need confirmation. It did not need a teacher to validate it or a tradition to endorse it. It simply was. And in its being, it carried complete authority over its own function. That is what the second directive is asking you to reclaim. The activation the elders require is not the acquisition of something new. It is the recovery of something original. It is the reclamation of a way of being that predates your conditioning, predates your wounds, predates every teacher or tradition that told you your inner knowing required external confirmation before it could be trusted. Your soul knew before your mind could question. Your soul knows now. And the second directive is to stop overriding that knowing with endless analysis, endless seeking, endless preparation. For a moment your soul has already confirmed is here. The mechanisms by which this original authority was buried are worth naming, because understanding the mechanism is part of dismantling it. You were born into a density that systematically redirects sovereign knowing outward. From your earliest moments, the systems you were immersed in, familial, educational, religious, social, trained you to locate authority outside yourself, to check with the expert before acting, to wait for permission from the institution before moving, to measure your inner signal against external standards before trusting it. This was not malicious in every case. Much of it was simply the inherited architecture of a consciousness field that has spent millennia organizing itself around external authority because the memory of internal authority had grown too dim. But the effect on Lyran souls whose original blueprint is built on sovereign knowing, was profound. It created a deep, persistent dissonance between who you actually are at the level of your soul's construction and who you have been trained to be at the level of your human conditioning. And it is that dissonance that you have experienced throughout your life, as a vague but unshakable sense that something is not quite right, that you are not quite aligned, that there is a version of you that knows how to move through the world in a completely different way. A way that feels more natural, more powerful, more true, but you cannot quite access it from where you are standing. What activates when you answer this directive, what becomes available to you, is a quality of mission clarity that no amount of external guidance can produce. Because it is not information you are lacking, it has never been information, it has been authorization. And the only authorization that will ever fully satisfy the Lyran soul memory is the one that comes from within, from the ancient part of you that has not forgotten what you came here to do, even when the human part of you has spent years pretending otherwise. The third directive is this: protect the choice you're making today from the voice that will arise tomorrow to undo it. This is what the Elders see most clearly, and it is the directive that Lightworkers most frequently fail to follow. You will leave this transmission and feel something, perhaps a surge of clarity, perhaps a deep exhale, perhaps the specific settling that happens when something finally tells you the truth. And you will make a choice. You will decide something. You will commit to something. And then tomorrow morning, or perhaps later tonight, the voice will return. The voice that sounds like reason. The voice that sounds like reason. The voice that sounds like caution. The voice that lists every logical objection, every practical concern, every memory of times you tried before and it didn't work. And if you are not protected, if you have not built the internal architecture to shield the decision you made in truth from the fear that arises in its aftermath, you will listen to that voice. You will reopen the decision. You will return to waiting. This is perhaps the most critical point in the entire transmission, because this is the exact juncture at which the majority of awakening souls lose the ground they have gained. The moment of choice is powerful, but it is not the moment that determines your trajectory. What determines your trajectory is whether you honor that choice in the hours and days that follow, when the elevated frequency that made the clarity possible has settled back into the ordinary, and the ordinary mind begins its work of dismantling what the extraordinary self decided. The Elders have watched this pattern with a kind of aching recognition across thousands of souls, across thousands of cycles. The moment of truth comes, the choice is made, and then the architecture of doubt, which is patient, which never sleeps, which knows exactly how to phrase its objections in the language most likely to dismantle your resolve, goes to work. And if you are not anchored, if you have not installed the protection this directive is pointing to, that work succeeds, and the choice unmakes itself, and you return to the position you were in before, but now with the additional weight of a choice you made and then abandoned, which makes the next choice harder, and the one after that harder still. The protection the Council requires you to install is not spiritual armor or energetic shielding. It is simpler than that. It is the practice of treating the choice you made in your highest clarity as more authoritative than the doubt that arises in a lower one. When you made this choice with full presence, with your soul engaged, with truth moving through you, you are operating from a frequency that the fear voice cannot access. That voice speaks from a lower floor of your consciousness. It does not have the vantage point that you had in the moment of choosing, and the directive is to remember this. The clarity you accessed at your highest point is more real than the confusion generated at your lowest. Do not allow lower states to overrule higher decisions. Protect what truth revealed. In practical terms, this means developing the capacity to witness the doubt voice without being governed by it, to hear its arguments fully without suppression, and then to say to it with genuine authority, "I see you. I understand that you are speaking from the part of me that does not yet feel safe, and I am honoring the decision that was made by the part of me that knows the truth. This is not a dismissal of your fear. It is a hierarchy of authority. It is the recognition that not all inner voices have equal access to truth, and that the voice which arises in a contracted, frightened state is not more trustworthy than the one which spoke in a moment of expanded, soul-level clarity. Even when it is louder, even when it is louder, even when it is more persistent, even when it has assembled a very convincing list of reasons why the choice you made was premature. The choice was not premature. The doubt is simply louder than the clarity it cannot access. Now I speak not as messenger, but as elder authorized by the High Council of Vega to deliver what has been held in reserve. Lightworker, you have carried something for a very long time. A sense, sometimes quiet, sometimes unbearable, that you came here for something specific, something significant, something that required more of you than ordinary life has been asking. And alongside that sense has lived a question you may have never spoken aloud because it felt too large, or too vulnerable, or too close to something that might break if examined. Am I actually ready for this? Am I actually the one? I am answering that question now, not with comfort but with council authority. You have lived with that question in the way that a person lives with a door that is always in their peripheral vision, but that they have never allowed themselves to walk directly toward and open. You have sensed it. You have circled it. You have caught glimpses of it in the moments when your guard was down, in the middle of the night, in the silence after meditation, in the particular quality of longing that arises when you witness someone else living fully in their mission and feel simultaneously inspired and heartbroken, because some part of you knows that what they are doing is not more than you are capable of, but simply something you have not yet given yourself permission to begin. That question, am I actually the one, has been both your wound and your compass. And today in this transmission, the Council is removing its status as a wound and confirming its function as a compass only. You are not waiting to become ready. You have been ready, and you have been told by your fear, by your wounds, by a spiritual culture that sometimes confuses endless preparation with actual service. That readiness was still somewhere ahead of you. It was not. It is not. Your readiness is not a future state. It is a present truth that you have been talked out of inhabiting, and the High Council of Vega, by the authority of the keepers of the Lyran Legacy, declares to you now clearly, officially, and without condition, your preparation phase is complete. Not because you have no more growing to do, not because there is no more healing available, but because the growing that remains for you now happens through service, not before it. The healing that is still yours to receive will come through the act of fulfilling your function, not through another cycle of waiting until you are whole enough to begin. This is the teaching that the Lyran Elders offered to every soul they prepared for descent into density, and it is the teaching that the density field works hardest to obscure. Wholeness is not the prerequisite for service. Service is the pathway through which the remaining fragmentation is integrated. The healer does not wait until every wound is closed before they begin healing others. They begin healing, and in the act of healing, they discover that the work itself is completing them. The teacher does not wait until they have mastered every question before they begin teaching. They begin, and in the teaching they encounter the questions that complete their mastery. You were not sent here whole and asked to remain in hiding until you achieved a wholeness you already had. You were sent here with everything you needed for the function you were assigned, and you were told by the field, by the council, by the Lyran ancestors whose frequency runs through your soul's architecture, to begin. The beginning itself is the completion mechanism, and the waiting is the only thing standing between you and the version of yourself that the Elders know is possible. You have permission to make the choice. You have permission to trust what you already know. You have permission to begin without the certainty you were told was required. You have permission to be seen, to be wrong sometimes, to be imperfect in your service, to stumble in the direction of your mission, and to keep moving anyway. Let those permissions be received, not as inspiring words, but as actual transmissions. Each one is a specific frequency correction being directed at the place in your energy body where the corresponding prohibition has been living. Where you have been told you do not have permission to choose until you are certain, receive the correction. Where you have been told that your knowing must be validated before it can be trusted, receive the correction. Where you have been told that you must be whole before you can be useful, receive the correction. These permissions are not granted by me as a personality. They are issued by the High Council of Vega and transmitted through this vehicle. They carry the authority of the Lyran field, and they are final. The Elders have seen you, not the version of you that doubts, the version that knows. And it is the version that knows that they are calling forward now. This is what the small choice today actually is. It is not a logistical decision. It is not a practical calculation. It is the choice to operate from the frequency of your readiness rather than the frequency of your fear. It is the choice to answer this transmission with action rather than with more waiting. It is the choice to trust that the soul that brought you to this exact transmission at this exact moment was navigating by a knowing far older and far more reliable than your doubt. Every soul that has ever moved into mission has faced this exact moment, the moment when the transmission is complete, when the clarity is present, when the knowing is undeniable, and the only question that remains is whether the choice will be honored or reopened, whether the movement will happen, or whether the familiar architecture of delay will reassemble itself, and you will find yourself, a week from now, having consumed another transmission, having felt another wave of activation, and having returned nonetheless to the comfortable uncertainty of not yet. The elders are asking you to make a different choice this time, not because they are impatient, but because they can see, from their vantage point across thousands of galactic cycles, that the capacity you carry is needed now, that the window of maximum impact for your specific frequency in Gaia's current evolutionary phase is not unlimited, that the souls who need your signal are not waiting indefinitely. They are navigating a field that will either receive your contribution or organize itself around the absence of it. And both outcomes are possible, and which one manifests depends on what you choose in the next 24 hours. And there is something else the Council wants you to receive before I deliver the closing of this transmission. It is this: the Lightworker Mission Codex exists because this moment, the moment after a soul has been activated but before they have anchored the activation into sustained action, is the most vulnerable moment in the entire mission arc. It is the moment where the most souls are lost back into delay, and the 33 directives that the Codex carries were assembled specifically to serve as the structural support that converts a moment of activation into a lifetime of aligned service. If this transmission has moved something in you, if the 3 directives have landed in your body rather than simply passing through your mind, then the Codex is the natural next step, not because you need more preparation, but because you need the architecture that will hold what has been activated here and prevent it from being dismantled by the voice that rises in tomorrow's morning light. The first pinned comment holds the path forward. The elders have placed it there with intention. It is not an accident that it is waiting for you. Before you sleep tonight, stand with both feet on the ground. Place your hand on your chest, not your heart center in the abstract, but the physical center of your chest, where the knowing actually lives in your body. And speak these words aloud, in whatever privacy you have. I release the lie that I must feel certain before I can move. I activate the authority that lives in my original soul blueprint. I protect the choice I am making today from every voice that arises tomorrow to undo it. By the authority of the Lyran elders, my waiting ends now. My mission is active. My service begins. Say it once. Say it as if the Council is listening, because they are. Say it as a declaration that you intend your soul to remember even when your mind forgets. And then let the words settle into the part of you that has always known this moment was coming. There is a reason the elders specify that this declaration be spoken aloud, not thought, not written in a journal, spoken. Given vibration, given breath, given the full physical reality of sound moving through a body that is planted on the surface of Gaia, because spoken declarations carry a frequency that internal declarations cannot match.